Here's a guy who loves fake Star. Wait till you hear what he has to say.
The biggest questions in Star Wars was just answered.
Thank you!
The connection between the Stranger and the Knights of Ren was just confirmed by Leslie Headland.
Oh, did you guys see this? Did you guys see this? That apparently, I don't, a bunch of shills are talking about this, but Chimere in the Acolyte was, I guess, supposed to be the first Knight of Ren. So the Acolyte was going to tie into the sequel trilogy, you know, because the Knights of Ren were so in-depthly explored in the sequel trilogy, right, chat? We all remember how the great detail and how much time they spent going into the Knights of Ren. Rian Johnson completely forgot that they existed.
What this might mean for a possible future for this character in live action will
This guy cannot let the Acolyte go.
blow your mind, because this news might actually lead to us getting more of the Stranger. Probably not in an Acolyte season 2, but possibly in a Darth Plagueis show. Oh.
So here we go, chat. We need to use a guy who loves fake Star Wars wants Disney Star Wars to use Darth Plagueis, a George Lucas character, a George Lucas canon character. Great novel, by the way, the Darth Plagueis novel. Give it a read if you haven't. Guy who loves fake Star Wars wants Disney to use Darth Plagueis to try and get a Disney, arguably the worst Disney Star Wars live action series, a character from that show, use Darth Plagueis to get that character over, to get that story, the story of the Acolyte, over with fans. They want to use Darth Plagueis and also Palpatine, which he's going to mention here in a bit. They want to use those characters to try and get the Acolyte story over with the majority of Star Wars fans. That is disrespectful as fuck to George Lucas, if I do say so myself. Play it.
Okay, before you go, Mike, that's absolutely insane. That's never going to happen. Hear me out, because this confirmation of who the Stranger
of course,
really
he puts
is
the clip
will
of,
not only allow
he puts the clip of him with no shirt on. What a surprise.
Continuation of his story, but in a really crazy way, it might actually help this Hunt for Ben Solo movie get made. All right, I know this all sounds crazy, but
wow. So not only are we going to use Darth Plagueis to get the Acolyte story over, we're going to use Darth Plagueis to get the Hunt for Ben Solo to eventually happen. This is all Disney Star Wars has. This is why people hate Disney Star Wars. They only bring in George Lucas characters. They use George Lucas characters, George Lucas's canon, to get their Disney shit over. They tried to do it with Thrawn, and it failed. They tried to do it with Luke, and it failed. They tried to do it with Boba Fett, and it failed. And they also fuck all these characters up as well. I just read the first Thrawn novel, Heir to the Empire, and it's amazing. After reading that, or listening to the audiobook of that, Heir to the Empire, how much, and I still got 2 more to go, how much Disney fucked up that character. It's truly insane.
But bear with me. Let's start with what Leslie Headland just confirmed. The Acolyte
Leslie Headland, yes, because Leslie Headland loves George Lucas Star Wars, obviously. Just ruined arguably George Lucas's most important character in Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, ruined his origin in that series
over a year ago. And although the final episode left us with a ton of cliffhangers with the possibility of a second season, however, just a few short weeks after that finale ended, the hopes and dreams of an Acolyte Season 2 were destroyed. The cancellation of the Acolyte Season 2 still hurts me to this day. However,
obviously, multiple videos on this channel of a guy who loves fake Star Wars whining about the cancellation of the Acolyte. Check them out.
That's not at all what we're here to talk about, because one of the biggest questions from the Acolyte that just got answered was at the end of episode 5. After one of the greatest lightsaber duels in all of Star Wars, you could
What? Whatever.
One of the greatest lightsaber battles in all of Star Wars, the Acolyte. This is who Disney is making Star Wars for, chat. This is who Disney is making Star Wars for.
You make me happy.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
You can hear Kylo Ren's theme as the stranger walks towards Osha. Take a listen.
We are.
Boo.
I know, crazy. And at the time, Star Wars fans lost their mind.
So I have a question then for you, a guy who loves fake Star Wars, and Leslie. Why did Kymir call himself a Sith then in the show? Because the Knights of Ren, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Knights of Ren were not Sith. So why does he call himself a Sith then in the show? A guy who loves fake Star Wars.
Minds. Coming up with some crazy theories, the biggest one being that the stranger, or Kymir, would eventually be the first ever member of the Knights of Ren. And now that crazy fan theory was just confirmed by the showrunner. As we just learned from the Art of the Acolyte book,
I think this guy would love to take a whiff of Leslie Headland's taint. Is that, oh my God, I just realized, look at that fucking Grogu hoodie. $2 billion. $2 billion, Mandalorian and Grogu. He's got the hoodie. Maybe if all his Mandu Grogu merch that he buys gets added into the movie profits, maybe it will hit $1 billion.
as Leslie Headland told us this. It was in the design of the character, as well as knowing that we were going to introduce Darth Plagueis, who has to end up with Palpatine as...
This show introduced Darth Plagueis, and then a month later got canceled. Again, that is completely insane, by the way. Okay, we're going to jump ahead a little bit here now, 5 minutes.
by the name of Kylo Ren. Now, before we get to why I think the Darth Plagueis show could actually happen, let's talk about how this affects the hunt for Ben Solo. So if you've
Again, a Plagueis Palpatine show needs to be used to get the Hunt for Ben Solo movie to happen. This is this guy's logic.
been living under a rock for the last week, then you don't know that Adam Driver recently came out and said that there was a Hunt for Ben Solo movie. It was in development for over 2 years, with Oscar-winning director Steven Soderbergh attached. When Driver and Soderbergh pitched it to Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck all loved it. They paid...
Now, again, that is a bad sign. That is a bad sign. I don't care what Joshy boy over at Den of Shill says. Kathleen Kennedy does not have George Lucas Star Wars, respect for George Lucas Star Wars in mind when she does her shit.
Paid $3 million to get a full script made, and that script was written completely. They were ready to shoot. And when they took this entire pitch and brought it to Disney to Bob...
I got guys breaking out a little bit, man. He's got some yakny going on there. What is wrong with your face? What's wrong with that fucking hoodie?
Iger and Alan Bergman, they said no, saying that they didn't think that Ben Solo could still be alive after he died at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Ironic.
So after over 2 years of work on a project that Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Carrie Beck, Adam Driver, Steven Soderbergh all loved, it was gone. And until 7 days ago, when Adam Driver revealed all this information to the fans, this movie was dead until he gave it to the fans.
Now the movie. Oh, there's that stupid flyby.
Recently, you've seen planes flying around Disney's...
People actually paid. People probably paid, what, 5-6 figures to do this? This is how insane the Disney Star Wars fandom is. Unbelievable. Okay, we got one more clip here. One more clip here, you guys. Now, wait till you hear this.
Coincidence? I think not.
Which brings us perfectly to the Darth Plagueis show. An Acolyte Season 2, as much as I would love it, I know is likely to never happen. The fact that the first season, before its first episode even dropped, had a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, that alone just tells you that if they ever announced an Acolyte Season 2, it would get so much hate.
And you know what? So would a Darth Plagueis series if it were announced that it was a continuation of the Acolyte story. Honestly, it might be even worse because that would piss off real Star Wars fans. That would be a complete spit in the face to the Darth Plagueis novel, which is big in the real Star Wars fandom. And honestly, I think it could possibly be lower than that if they were to do what a guy who loves fake Star Wars here is suggesting.
Understand that. So whether you like the show or you don't, it doesn't really matter. You're probably never going to get a second season. But that doesn't mean that the stories of these characters, of Vanestra Rowe, The Stranger, Osha, have to end. It doesn't mean that the first time we ever see Plagueis in live action in this one very short scene has to be the last. For well over a decade, Star Wars fans have been begging for two specific projects: a young Palpatine show and a Darth Plagueis show. So instead of announcing the Acolyte Season 2 and getting the insane amount of backlash from the Star Wars fandom,
You need to trick the fans. Trick the fans into watching and supporting a continuation of the Acolyte story by hiding it in a Darth Plagueis Palpatine series. That's basically what he's advocating for.
Lucasfilm could announce a Plagueis show. Get all of the hype from the Star Wars fans who've been waiting for this for years. And for those Acolyte fans, you can finish off the story. You could even have an epic lightsaber duel between Plagueis and the Stranger.
Oh my God. Who the fuck wants to see that?
That Plagueis is a part of the Rule of Two, and it could give us the canon version of Plagueis killing Tenebrous and going to find Palpatine, his new apprentice, on Naboo. And if it's multiple seasons, it could eventually transition into a young Palpatine show and end with Palpatine killing Plagueis. This would not only please everybody, Acolyte fans, Plagueis fans.
It'll please everybody, Chad. It'll please everybody.
Killing Plagueis. This would not only...
Chat, would this please you? I see people screaming no in the chat. I don't think it would please the people in the chat here. Seems to be a negative response. We don't want Disney Star Wars to use George Lucas characters to get your shitty Acolyte characters screen time and try to get them over with the fans. Remember when everyone was saying that an Obi-Wan Kenobi series couldn't miss? An Obi-Wan Kenobi between episodes 3 and 4 series, that was a guaranteed success because people were saying that before that show came out, and they managed to fuck that up. And after fuck up after fuck up, screw up after screw up, do you honestly think that this show would, quote unquote, please everybody?
Please everybody.
I think the fandom would be more pissed.
Acolyte fans, Plagueis fans, Palpatine fans, but it would give you the opportunity to set up the Knights of Ren.
And that's what it is. Again, you got to use George Lucas characters to set up Disney Star Wars bullshit. Because again, the Knights of Ren, how much screen time did the Knights of Ren get in the sequel trilogy? Like 5, not even 5 minutes?
Something that eventually leads into the sequel trilogy, tying a string from the very end of the Skywalker saga to the beginning, making the entire timeline feel so much more connected. And let's be honest, who the hell doesn't want a Darth Plagueis show? So
I can think of a few people